Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's TX141 here, bringing you another Ace in the Day gameplay as always. Today I'm bringing out the Yak-9T on the Airfield Domination map, Stalingrad Winter. Of course this is arcade mode, and prior to talking about the arcade flight model of this plane and its armament, I'll give you a little bit of historical background. The Yak-9T was the 37mm prop cannon version of the Yak-9 series of planes. The Yak-9 series of Russian aircraft were low-altitude fighters, following on from the mentality of the popular Yak-7 series, with a lighter airframe and also the addition of different armament. The Yak-9T in particular, as I've said, mounted a 37mm in the prop rather than a 20mm and a 12.7mm machine gun just above. In fact, it may have even had two. Now the plane was noted, as I've said, for low altitude performance, being able to accelerate fast and manoeuvre very well below altitudes of 5,000 metres. The 37mm cannon was primarily used against ground targets and shipping convoys rather than fighters, yet some success was found against enemy aircraft. Okay, so in War Thunder, and as you're going to see in this gameplay, because this game is incredibly hectic as I dive on this Beaufighter, I use the plane as a low altitude fighter, keeping my altitude below 2,000 metres or 2,500 metres as a maximum, and I go for any of the larger heavy fighter slash ground attack slash bomber aircraft. So any of those three will be my primary target, and I will try and catch any fighters I have to go after mid-turn. By mid-turn I mean when they're making a very sharp turn, as you're seeing now on the screen, and you're going to see with this Messerschmitt 109 ML1, and where they pretty much expose the entire side-on section of the plane. I completely missed with the first burst, now you'll see where I'll catch the ML. So whenever they put themselves in profile of that type, and I decide to dive on this Brewster Buffalo, just to take them out despite having captured the airfield in the centre of the map, i.e. Airfield C, and I fly away and take a reload. But no, I prefer to use this plane as a low altitude interceptor on any ground attack aircraft or bombers for the simple reason that the 37mm cannon can be used to great effect, and also they're the largest targets and the easiest targets to hit with such an armament. Usually I prefer using 20mm cannons for the simple reason that can be used as a jack of all trades against any size aircraft. Obviously you'll need more cannon shots in order to take out larger targets, as per usual, unless you can get a hit on a vital spot such as the tail control or the cockpit. Now the setup I'm using as I escort RLA-5 to landing is the air target ammunition for both the 12.7mm machine gun and the 37mm cannon. The reason why I use air target ammunition on the cannon is because it's made up of entirely high explosive rounds. The gun convergence I'm using is 500 metres, however because the armament is prop based, I mounted in the centre of the plane. This doesn't really matter, I've had just as much success at 200, 300, 400 metres, etc. Additionally, I'm using a 30-minute fuel load, and this plane is in fully upgraded condition, hence why the 37mm cannon is so accurate on this plane. There's very little spread, unlike the shotgun spread you will see at first when you purchase this plane. At rank 8, this plane is in a very horrible mix of planes. You've got Spitfire Mark 5Bs, you've got the Messerschmitt 109 F4 series planes, and speaking of Messerschmitts, this ML3 decides to dogfight me, and I know the ML3 can beat me quite clearly in a turn fight, so I decide to loop over and just fall in behind the ML3 and hopefully make him or her either forget about me or panic and try and level out. As you're about to see, they panic and go into an alternative turn. Now, and while I'm at it, I'll go for this Betty. Now I don't really want to class that as a kill, despite it being my 4th kill. I just decided to take out the Betty because I saw 3 of my teammates were trying to take it out, and rather than have them waste their entire game time trying to chase one bomb and getting shot down by the enemy force, I thought I'd take that plane out of the equation completely, because those 3 fighters chasing that plane have got better priorities rather than knocking out larger targets, something which I can do very quickly with this 37mm cannon plane. Now anyway, as I was saying, the roster this plane goes up against is absolutely brutal. You've got the combination of turn fighters in the A6M3 0 plus the Spitfire Mark 5B, although that's more of a jack of all trades plane. You have to go up against the Messerschmitt 109s, which are energy fighters. They predominantly take the higher altitudes. You also got the LA series of planes, the LA5s in particular. And having noticed I can't kill that Spitfire, I'm going to kill this Heinkel. As you can see, the cannon, because it fires quite fast as well, it means even if one shot doesn't hit and do enough damage, I can just follow up with a couple of extra shots, which will be reasonably accurate within quite a tight circle once fully upgraded, and just put the bomber into the ground. Now I'm noticing this A-20G coming back over to our units. I decided to try and intercept the A-20G. As you're going to see, I'm not successful, because you have to give a significant amount of lead on the 37mm against planes moving at high speed. I try a couple of pot shots while the A-20G is getting away, but I notice it's getting out of my range, and while I might be able to drop a shot on target, it'll most likely miss, and it'll be the 12.7mm machine gun that grazes the A-20G. So with a low amount of cannon ammunition left, I'm about to break off from firing at that target. Would I class this plane as overpowered at all? Not really, because of the competitive roster and also the very limited range at which this plane is effective. As you see, predominantly in this game I went for the bombers and the heavy fighters, or ground attack craft. Now Shunker's 87D I managed to get the assist on, but this KI-49 I ripped to pieces. And with the 6th kill to my name, I decided to loop back around and head towards sea, because I've noticed an enemy Spitfire is trying to capture it. As you'll notice, at no point in this video have I returned to an altitude but above, I even believe, 1,000 metres, because I'm trying to use the low altitude acceleration of this plane to my advantage and stay clear of trouble. However, trouble soon finds me in the form of a Spitfire Mark 5B, as I was saying earlier. That plane can quite easily compete at this rank, and I believe that Spitfire Mark 5B is having trouble getting his cannons on me, his or her cannons on me. But the LA5, which I escorted earlier, decides to come over and take out that Spitfire Mark 5B. So I'm grateful, and it just goes to show that there is team playing War Thunder. This Brewster Buffalo decides to attack my teammate. Not anymore. And with all the enemy aircraft in the vicinity cleared off and my 7th kill attained, I decide to fly back over to B, because the central airfield's pretty much lost. And as I say thank you to the LA5 for covering me, I'm noticing that the enemy team's got a lot more aircraft overseas than I have. And with my team has, sorry. And with the condition my plane's in, I'm not dogfight effective anymore. The only thing I can do is try and land or just run away. I'm not going to go into the massive debate about the Yak-9T being overpowered or anything, because my opinion is that this is an effective aeroplane as long as it is used at low altitudes and the cannons employed against the larger targets. Of course, as I go for this S-79 here, again I didn't give enough lead, and as a result my entire burst missed, but I decided to carry on against the S-79, and I noticed they go into a sharp bank turn, so I think, why not take a shot? Nailed them complete with the 37mm. You only need one shell in most cases to put planes light bomber of that type, i.e. light bombers and ground attack aircraft down. So with an 8th kill to my name now, I'm hanging over our airfield. I'm noticing that there's barely any fighters left on my team around this area, and all the enemy fighters are coming over. So now it's all about survival. I'll turn to face, because that's the only thing I can do at this point. If I hope I can take one with me. This lag free opens up, I notice this Messerschmitt 109, and I take a shot. I completely take out the Messerschmitt 109F with the 37mm cannon, but that was more luck than anything else. I aimed at centre mass with the 37mm cannon, and I managed to hit directly on the plane. However, don't expect that to work every time I head on engagement, and it's not advisable. So keeping as low as possible just to stay alive and avoid this lag 366 cannon ammunition. You'll notice I've turned off the engine. I'm pretty much scraping along the ground. I actually do drag the tail along the ground now, trying to keep it as low as possible. As you're about to see, the rudder will take some damage. There you go. It's also trying to hit that B5N2. However, with that, the lag 366 broke off and we survived the battle. As I bring up the scoreboard, I'd like to apologise for a rather hectic game and rather hectic commentary. However, I hope I've conveyed the main points of this plane, which are that you can use the 37mm cannon to great effect against the larger target aircraft, i.e. heavy fighters, bombers and ground attack planes. It's not as effective as as one would expect against fighters, because of the inaccuracy of the cannon, the amount of lead you have to give. However, you can get them in a tight turn and have them show their full profile. You can nail an enemy fighter quite easily. The score we managed to get of 16,000 XP and 27,500 silver lines is incredibly good for this rank and plane. With 9 kills and 2 assists, this just goes to show that the Yak-9T does pack a significant punch, especially once it's fully upgraded and you can use that 37mm cannon to full effect. However, I've been TX141, and as I'm about to bring up the team scoreboards, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy the video, why not leave a like, comment or subscribe for future content on my channel. However, until next time, take care, have a Merry Christmas everyone, and I'll see you guys in the skies.